You're listening to the Fierce Value Podcast, episode 200. Ozempic/Wegovy GLP-1s. Where are they now? Part 2. Let's do it. Hello, welcome to this episode. I'm your host, Vinnie Wellsby. My pronouns are they, them. This is part 2. Two-part episode. You can listen to this if you want. Not listen to the other one, but maybe go listen to the one before. Maybe you'll get some extra info. Well, you will. There's no maybe. You will. 200 episodes. I kept stressing about what to do for the 200th episode, and I feel like I was putting off making podcasts because I was like, I need to make 200 special or something, and I think I just needed to just do anything and not do some big review of the podcast or the best things. Well, maybe I could. Well, actually, I noticed one of the most listened to episodes was my previous Ozempic Wegovy episodes. So maybe, this is kind of in honor of those. Actually, it is, because I was thinking, well, people really like this information. And even though I had made those previous episodes, I feel like some people feel like maybe they're out of date because one of them's a year old. And this one is giving all the new updates anyway. So, yeah. So thank you for hanging around. I wonder if anyone has actually listened to all 200 episodes. Let me know if that's you. If you've listened to all of the episodes, let me know. Or even if you've listened to like 100, I would be so impressed. Yeah, I started the podcast maybe 5-6 years ago. I'm looking after a dog and I'm watching her just about to jump on the kitchen table. Millie, thank you. Come down, please. Come here. She's very shy, so I don't want to scare her. But she's started to become sassy. And she's been jumping on the kitchen table and eating treats. And she's a little chihuahua, and she's been eating a lot of treats. She's a little scamp. Anyway, okay, so thank you for tuning in. If you are one of those people that if you've ever listened to a single episode, thank you for tuning in, being a part of this podcast journey with me. I so appreciate you. I really do. I've said this before, but it always surprises me that humans listen to me. People are downloading the show. I don't know why that surprises me. I've got 200 episodes, so I'm sure some topic I've talked about would interest people. But yeah, sometimes when you're on your own making a show, it can feel like there's no one listening because you're literally on your own. But yeah, thank you for being there. Let's talk about some more stuff about GLP-1s. I'm just going to keep saying GLP-1s just so that we're all on the same page and there's no confusion that I'm talking just about Ozempic, even though that's a name that everyone uses, even though it's not correct. It could be correct for sometimes when they are talking about Ozempic, but okay, we'll just say GLP-1s, okay? Or GLPs. We ended off last episode talking about something that Dr. Rachel Milner posted, and a reminder, Rachel is a therapist for activists, speaker, body trust provider. Instagram bio says, trying to become a fat Peloton instructor. Amazing, fun, love it. But something that Rachel posted is interesting, and I want to talk about it. I'm going to read her post. Dr. Rachel says, I'm receiving requests for more nuanced conversations about taking GLP-1s for intentional weight loss. Let's hold some nuance together. Love a bit of nuance. The decision to take GLP-1 for weight loss bumps against two key values of fat liberation simultaneously. 1, body autonomy, and 2, pursuing intentional weight loss is rooted in weight stigma and perpetuates harm to everyone, especially fat people. The question becomes, can you believe in fat liberation and still take GLP-1s for weight loss? And I would add, can you act in accordance with fat liberation and take GLP-1s for weight loss? Or said another way, what does it mean to make a decision that is not aligned with your values? And I think it's important to name that when it comes to the harm of pursuing intentional weight loss to yourself and to others, being encouraged to take a GLP-1 for weight loss by your doctor, therapist, family member, etc., does not mitigate that harm. You may decide to take a GLP-1 for weight loss because one of those people tells you to, but that doesn't make the pursuit of intentional weight loss any more in alignment with fat liberation. You might choose to take a GLP-1 for weight loss to increase access to protect yourself from weight stigma because you think it will improve your health. All understandable reasons to pursue intentional weight loss, all aligned with body autonomy, none aligned with fat positivity. You can believe in fat liberation and not be safe for fat people. You can prioritize body autonomy and be out of alignment with your value of fat liberation. You will not be judged here for taking a GLP-1 for weight loss, and it doesn't make you bad or weak, and sharing weight loss stories is harmful, except with your therapist or dietitian or other treatment providers. If someone is my client, I want to know all of it. And then Rachel goes on to give some reflection questions. Again, everything I'm talking about, there'll be links in the show notes. So if you want to go explore those reflection questions that Rachel has provided, go check that out. This is something I think about a lot. And something I think about is my views previously on, before GLPs were even a thing, on diets. Like, you can't be, quote unquote, I remember making a video, you can't be body positive and diet, because they're opposite concepts, right? That's when I was talking about body positivity. Now I'm like, that was the autistic side of my brain being very kind of black and white, like you absolutely, and being mad. Like if someone said that they were body positive and they said they were losing weight, I'd be like, I'm so mad that you're using this word. You know what? It's so funny. I find myself like checking myself. Something as a British Irish person, it gets on my nerves so much. It gets on my nerves, and I hate that it gets on my nerves for this reason, is that it's not the same as in the UK. Anyway, in the UK, people say where they're from. I'd say I'm British because I was born in the UK. I would not say I'm British Irish because I wasn't born in Ireland, even though culturally I was brought up by an Irish mum who was born in Ireland. Pretty much 95% of my family live in Ireland. When I go home, quote unquote home, I go to Ireland. I wouldn't go to the UK anymore because there's no one there since my dad died, and I wouldn't necessarily go and visit my dad anyway. So culturally, I am very, brought up in the UK, but a lot of culturally, I'm Irish. But I wouldn't have said that when I was in the UK. Coming to Canada, everyone says, if you say, oh, I'm British, then someone would be like, oh, I'm British too. And when I got here, I was like, oh my goodness, really? Where are you from? Where were you born? And they'd say, oh, I was born in Vancouver, but my granddad's uncle's friend was British and came over. And that would piss me off so much. And I'd be like, you're not fucking British, you're Canadian. There's nothing wrong with being Canadian, but it's wrong. I had this like black and white thinking about language, which is, very autistic of me. I'm autistic, by the way. Now I understand there's a total cultural difference, right? Because, Canada was colonized, and people are very proud of talking about their roots, and so that everyone just says that. And when they say that, other people understand that they mean not necessarily they were born in that country, but they have an ancestor from however far back from that country. Someone said it to me the other day, and I was talking to someone on Instagram, and they said that they were Welsh. My brain went back to, because I said to them, I moved here 15 years ago to Canada. My brain went back to, they were born in Wales and they came over because I had just said, I came over. And I said, oh, cool. When did you come to Canada? And they said, no, I was born here. And my brain slipped back into, well, you're not fucking Welsh then, are you? I was just like, Vinny, stop it. Anyway, so all that to say, tangent, I don't like my brain's way of being very black and white about this, and exactly like what Dr. Rachel says, holding that nuance of, I'm not angry at people who say they're into fat liberation and also take GLP-1s. I don't know, maybe that's because I've spent so long in therapy. I don't know. But anyway, not that Dr. Rachel's angry, but then I was thinking about what could be the equivalent. Yeah, now I like illustrating things. And I was thinking about this. I'm a queer person. The equivalent maybe would be your favorite queer influencer who's just like, we need to support queer rights, then saying they've gone to conversion therapy. They're trying not to be gay. And then there would be this congruence, or rather lack of congruence, between what their mouth is saying and what their brain is thinking, and then taking it a step further. But what if they were not an influencer online? They're just somebody. They're somebody, and they just think that queer people should have access and rights, and they like queer people. But they're in a really conservative community, and they go to conversion therapy because their parents have forced them to, and living openly as a queer person is not safe. What if they're in a different country where it's illegal? That draws parallels with, what if you're in a community where you don't have fat liberation people around you, that everyone around you, your doctor, your family, whatever, are saying you need to lose weight, and you need to access healthcare, and you could literally die if you didn't access this healthcare that required a certain BMI. It's kind of a different story, right? Versus someone who's openly out and saying, hey, I love fat bodies, and then going and taking, or I support fat liberation and then taking a GLP-1. But there's that kind of mismatch that my brain struggles with. And then I'm reaching for that nuance and that compassion of XYZ circumstances. But what fat liberation is saying, that fat folks should be treated equally, that fat people are no less than straight-sized people. And so what beliefs do you have to take a GLP-1? Your beliefs would need to be perhaps your beliefs are, I know this doesn't work. Maybe it might temporarily work. I'll be in that few percent, and then I can access healthcare, or I can access privilege. But other people might have the beliefs of, well, it's okay for them to be fat, but not me. I think my fat body is disgusting. I know some fat people can be healthy, but not me. I'm unhealthy because of my fatness. So what it makes me think is that probably those folks, or attractive. I'm just more attractive if I'm thinner, and a GLP-1 will get me there. Is what that says to me is maybe those folks are maybe newer to fat liberation, or maybe haven't gone deeper in unlearning their own anti-fatness about their own body. Because that is a stage I've noticed. I've done this post about stages of unlearning anti-fatness, and one of the earlier stages is when you're starting in fat liberation. You're like, okay, other fat people, I get it. They deserve ABC. Me? No, not me. No, I'm gross. Have you seen myself? And I think the reason for that is that, if you saw someone going doing a bungee jump, you could be like, good for them. But that for you, that would be a step too far, too scary. Don't want to do it, unsafe. And so you don't think the other person doing a bungee jump is a ding dong, but you are keeping that safety for yourself and being quote unquote out as a fat person, saying, I think my body is okay. It really is a big step and difficult. I thought talking about that was interesting. And with Rachel saying, you are causing harm if you're doing that. You're it's like buying dickhead J.K. Rowling's books, or watching her new series. J.K. Rowling. I should remember how to say her name. Is a transphobe and uses her millions to influence policy in the UK and further, and so directly harms fat folks. GLP-1s directly harm fat folks for weight loss, right? And perpetuate anti-fatness, the idea that fatness is a disease. And so by buying it, that is a tiny vote, or buying it, taking it, that's a tiny vote towards saying, yes, I'm down with this. In the big sea of the millions of people taking it, what did we say last time? 15 million people taking it in the US. It's a small thing, but it's still, like Rachel was saying, not aligning with your values. But then again, sometimes we make decisions in life to survive, and we can't always be in alignment with our values. For example, I like watching some not so great TV, 90 Day Fiancé. Oh, God. I just watched the Tell-All Part 2 last night. If anyone's watching the Tell-All for 90 Day Fiancé, no. That transphobia, no. So anyway, that stuff is not in alignment with my values. But I make a decision because I get a certain amount of enjoyment out of it. That is the world going to change if I stop watching 90 Day Fiancé? Maybe like a oop. Is that where I'm at in my life right now? I've made a decision, maybe that doesn't align with my values, in order to get that level of enjoyment. Another show is RuPaul's Drag Race, which, if you've watched this season, I made a post about it. Mistress Isabella Brooks in a fat suit. But I'm still watching the show because I really like it, even though it's fucked up. So anyway, all that to say, nuance. I don't know. I don't have the answer. Who knows? There is this article that I read from Hannah from Queen Beast says, a British content creator. Let me give you a little paragraph or so from it. It's called "The Labour Government Wants Britain to be, quote, fat-free by 2035. I'm so fucking pleased I don't live in the UK. Quote, "I've been doing content creation for almost 3 years. The content can vary from plus size, fashion inspo, fat representation in media, diet culture, eating disorders, and commentary on just existing as a fat person. But if Health Secretary and spawn of Satan's arsehole, Wes Streeting is a British Health Secretary, and spawn of Satan's arsehole, has his way, I won't have any content in 10 years' time." Since coming into power in July 2024, Streeting has laid out plans to tackle the epidemic, which he believes is plaguing Britain's population. Of course, is draining our incredibly vulnerable NHS. In October 2024, he laid out his plan, a partnership with Lilly. You know what? So I was like, Lilly, hang on, isn't it? It's Eli Lilly. So Eli Lilly has branded themselves as Lilly with 2 L's in the UK. Or maybe it's the other way. Actually, where is Eli? I think Eli Lilly is American. Anyway, so it's Eli Lilly. So he laid out a plan, a partnership with Eli Lilly. I bet they were fucking licking their chops. At a cost of $279 million to provide Mounjaro, the medication name that I don't like saying because it's difficult for me, to 250,000 patients over 3 years in the vein it will get unemployed fat people into work. How is it going to fucking do that? Implying that these individuals are out of work due to their weight, even though no statistics are offered on this. Just a little kind of interject here. Fat people may be out of work due to their weight, not due to their actual weight, but due to anti-fatness that perceives their weight as an issue. Continuing, on July 3rd, 2025, Streeting has announced his ambitious goal for Britain to be fat-free in 10 years. His belief being if they make GLP-1s widely available on the NHS to, quote, anyone who needs it, it will lead to everyone taking it. There's no nuance in his language. He talked on LBC about how half of his college are taking Mounjaro and they are encouraging others to follow suit. You know what? It is flabbergasting how it seems to me. You know, he's like, some of my mates have taken this drug and it's really fucking cool. So let's get everyone in the UK to take it. You know, that's what it feels like, that it's this trend. They're just jumping on it without data. Like, because we don't have we have data about GLP-1s, and we know none, zero, naught, have provide sustainable weight loss, significant sustainable weight loss long term. Okay? So none of these motherfuckers have read the studies, whoever's in the health department, and they're just like, and there's no information on what happens when you tell a nation we're gonna get rid of all the fats in 10 years because you motherfucking lazy fat people are gonna be taking an injection to make you thin, to get you to work, so you stop sucking money from the NHS, you lazy piece of shit. And alongside this, the UK are taking away benefits for disabled people so they can get back to work because, yeah, of course, disabled people are rolling in money from the governments of all across the world. You know, isn't that just the goal? The goal is to, you know, just rake in that cash from the government, from whatever they perceive to be this drain on the government, you know? Yeah, totally. Everyone's goal is to rely on the government for these big $1 million payouts that we all get. That's sarcasm, by the way. I'm really pleased I'm not in the UK. I've said this before on the podcast, but really, when I go to visit if I'm going through Heathrow or whatever, or if I go to Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, boo. There is such a oppressive anti-fatness around everywhere. It's really the difference between there and Canada. Of course, Canada is anti-fat. Of course. But the UK is really, they're, leaning into their favourite pastime, fascism, with lots of different, areas. Something as well that I want to touch on is food noise. A lot of people are saying this medication is so good because it's given me relief to this food noise, aka probably undiagnosed binge eating disorder that people have, or bulimia. This food noise, which when people describe that food noise, that's why I say they probably have undiagnosed BED, where they're constantly thinking about food, they're drawn to food, they can't seem to get enough food, and the reason why is that they are restricting themselves and their brains are doing everything they can to get the food, and then they get the food and they eat more food than their body is comfortable with, and then they say, look, here's proof, I need to restrict myself more and deny myself food because I'm so out of control. It's the equivalent of putting your head underwater. You have this natural thing that you need to breathe. Eventually, your body says, get up, I need oxygen. You take a deep breath in and saying, you greedy bastard, look at you breathing, gasping for air. See, there's evidence that you're out of control around air. Get your head back under and keep it back under for longer. And so the whole process is, the cycle of denial, restriction, binge, purge, whatever, head back down, denial, restrict, back down. And that food noise is that desperate need that your body is saying, please feed me, please. And we're struggling with it. So I'm someone who used to have BED. I'm so pleased that I don't have that anymore, thanks to intuitive eating and therapy. And I feel just so chill around food. And that's the thing is like you have to get your head above water and you'll be gasping for air. And eventually your pulse will, slow down and you'll be able to just breathe normally. And not think I'm such a piece of shit for breathing and think that you need to put your head under any longer. So people are saying that this reduces their food noise, and it is artificially reducing that. I started ADHD medications, Vyvanse, the generic version, a few months ago. Oh, do you want me to do an episode on neurodivergence? Because I will. Because I've started ADHD medication. I have a combined type ADHD. It's changed my life. Guess what they prescribed this medication for as well outside of ADHD? Binge eating disorder, which when I saw that, I roll. What I noticed is that it made me work through my hunger, and my brain was saying, it's okay, you're hungry, but you're not that like, I need to have food. Work through because you're like in the zone. And so I started doing that. And then I caught myself and I was like, oh, what are you doing? Because there was a part of my brain that said, look at you. So successful and in control that you work through lunch. There was this old eating disorder part of my brain that was saying that. It didn't, quote, work anyway. My goal was not to eat food. My goal was just, this is cool, I'm going to continue working. But you know what? At midnight, I'd be in bed and I'd be like, I'm fucking hungry, for fuck's sake. I need to get up and feed myself because I'm hungry. So, my body would be saying, you need to make up for that food that you lost. What do you think is good? What do you think is going to happen when people stop taking this medication? Is that food noise gonna come back? What do we think? I reckon it's gonna come back with a vengeance. Seriously. And people have not got those coping skills to deal with the shame because they're gonna start eating because their body is like, please. And they will, because they're not taking the medication, or even if they were taking the medication, their weight is not continuing to decrease. Maybe their weight is increasing because they've stopped taking the medication and their body is hanging on to weight as much as they can because they've just been put into a forced famine experience. I just feel such compassion for those people because it's not a solution. It's like saying, we'll help you keep your head underwater by providing you a wetsuit and a shitty snorkel. Yeah, okay, well, you can stay down longer, but you can't stay down there forever because you die. So this whole food noise thing, if someone is is listening and they hear, well, I've got that food noise. I'd love it if you could talk about that with a therapist or someone about, someone who's weight inclusive, about seeing if you do stop taking a GLP-1, how are you going to handle food noise? By the way, the answer is you need to allow yourself food. And it's going to be really scary because you're going to eat all the food and eventually it will level itself out. And also eating all the food, that's fine too. You can also talk to an intuitive eating nutritionist. And there's lots of wonderful ones out there. Okay, so we've got an article. The shrinkification of plus-size clothing, the rise of Ozempic and weight loss drugs is a convenient excuse for the fashion industry to cut back on sizing. Like they need an excuse. So basically what this is from Business Insider, basically what they're saying is that the availability of plus size clothing has sharply declined from like not that much options to even less. Brands like Loft, Old Navy and Horrid scale back or severely limited offerings. And the rise of GLP-1s is being cited as a justification for reducing plus-size inventory, even though many people are very much still plus-size. And these retailers are pointing to high costs, logistical complexity in producing clothes for fat people. So here's some examples. Some data from industry intelligence firms support this shift. Aritzia cut 2XL dressed offerings by 5%. ASOS reduced plus-size assortments by 15%, while sales of similar sizes, smaller sizes, extra small to small, rose by 12% in affluent markets. Yeah, I just don't, it just doesn't make sense to me why these companies don't want to sell stuff to fat people. I know it makes sense, but I mean, just like even like from a capitalism point of view, don't you want to make money? Come on now, give us clothes. Fat people have money. Something else that's happening is that people are struggling with muscle loss, apparently. This is from the New York Times. The race is on to stop Ozempic muscle loss. Gym chains, nutrition startups, and drug makers all want to solve a common issue among people who take weight loss drugs. So what they're saying in this article is that GLPs cause a meaningful amount of muscle loss. Don't know what that means, but they say there are, quote, super responders who lose even more because they've started with lower muscle mass, so they lose even more. Super responders to the drugs, I guess. Losing muscle isn't just about strength. Muscle plays a key role in metabolic health, glucose uptake, insulin sensitivity. So its loss could have downstream consequences. Health professionals have identified a phenomenon called, get this, sarcopenic O-word. Sarcopenic O-word. These motherfuckers will do anything and make up this stuff around fatness. Okay, so what they're saying this isn't very new. It looks like I looked it up and it looks like it came around in 2022 maybe. Rapid weight loss results in low muscle mass relative to fat, which can impair daily function and overall health, even in people whose BMI declines. So sarcopenia is the muscle mass strength physical function loss associated with increased age. And so sarcopenic O-word is a combination of these, two things. What they're saying is these two disease states. Why don't, here's a thing to ponder. Why don't they change that name, sarcopenic O-word? Why don't they just change it to the thing that it actually is? Iatrogenic harm. Iatrogenic harm, in case you're not familiar with that term, refers to adverse effects on patients' health caused by medical treatment or procedures. This can include complications from medications, surgical errors, infections acquired in hospital, or even psychological harm reducing from the patient-doctor interaction. This is iatrogenic harm caused by the medication, harm caused by forcing fat people to be thin at any cost. This medication is causing harm, and instead of saying, oh, it's causing harm, they've come up with a new fucking name. It's a new type of fatness has just been discovered. Oh my God. Honestly, and just slipping and sliding and being, anything to say, maybe this isn't so great for fat people. We're just killing them over here. But it's a new medical name for these two disease states. Lordy, lordy, lordy. We also have a contraception warning over weight loss drugs. So this is from The Guardian. Contraception warning over weight loss drugs after dozens of pregnancies. UK Watchdog has had 40 reports relating to pregnancies in people using drugs such as Ozempic and Mounjaro. Now, 40 is not a lot, but I thought I'd put it out there. But, who knows how many people are pregnant, have become pregnant, and they're not thinking, could it be because of my GLP-1? So basically the UK's MHRA, Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, issued a warning after receiving 40 reports of pregnancies among users of weight loss drugs, 26 linked to Mounjaro. I fucking hate that word. Mounjaro. And so what they say, it may reduce the effectiveness of oral contraceptives. It appears to slow stomach emptying and possibly impair absorption. Now guess what they're saying? Oh, fat people are becoming pregnant and they're taking GLP-1s. What do you think they're saying? Okay, guess. Okay, so fat people are becoming pregnant when they're taking GLP-1s. How are they twisting it? Okay, give you a minute to guess. How are they twisting it? Right? They're saying GLP-1s make fat people fertile. They make fat, infertile people fertile. Honestly. I was interviewed by a journalist for the New Scientist. He was writing a piece on GLP-1s and that it reduces depression. Honest. I roll, because their own data for Wegovy shows that it increases the side effects. Side effects include depression and suicide ideation. But they're spinning it to say, well, if you're smaller, you experience less bias. Therefore, it decreases your depression. I think if they could say that GLPs make you fly, it'd be on the front of the New York Times. The things do Novo Nordisk and pals have this think tank group where they're like, all right. Okay, how can we spin this? All right, so, it's causing contraceptions not to work. I know, it's making people fertile. Yeah, love it. High fives all around. Oh, it's causing depression? Okay, that's one of the side effects. Okay. How can we spin this? Come on, fellas. Let's work out. Oh, wait, no, it decreases depression? Yeah. It could decrease depression in people who are not experiencing weight stigma, right? That could be true. But we don't know how the side effects of depression and suicide ideation, how that's affecting people. And is the solution to stop stigma from happening to a group of people is to make that group of people disappear? And then I think, no. That is not the solution. The solution is to get people to stop being complete fucking cockwombles. Oh, I'm getting mad. All right. So something I saw that I thought was interesting. I don't know how true this is, but I thought I'd tell you about it. Just to, take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. Is that apparently Ozempic, I don't know if they mean GLP-1s, we'll find out in a second, is rewiring smell. This post says, a medication designed to manage hunger, that's not what it's designed for, is now altering the way the world smells to millions. During COVID, this is from someone called Future of Smell on Instagram, scent technician, research and development around scents. What this is saying, so many say fragrance smells wrong after taking GLP-1s. It is GLP-1s. Many say fragrance smells wrong, food smell off, even their own body odor has changed. Perfumes they used to love smell wrong. Food smells feel intense or off-putting. Some even say their own body odor has changed, and scientists are looking into theories. Do you think the the Novo Nordisk and pals group are together in a room being like, okay, it fucks with their smell. Okay, how can we position this? Oh, okay, let's say, okay, this is how they're gonna bend it. It helps people not eat food because it smells repulsive. Therefore, it helps even better at weight loss. That's going to frame it. This is a benefit. Yeah. That cake smelled like a rotting corpse. Amazing. Love it. You don't need it anyway, fatty. So this doctor thinks that GLPs may scramble the brain's reward pathways. Dopamine and oxytocin usually kick in when we smell something comforting. Now that connection might be broken. Cool. Love it. Now, some may turn to sweet edible scents into a new. Some may turn to sweet edible scents for a new kind of comfort. And the next theory is memory misfires. Scent is closely tied to memory, and GLP-1s may disrupt that decoding. Oh, it fucks with memory now, does it? This is May. A molecule that once meant warm vanilla or Chanel No. 5 may now mean nothing or nausea. Nausea leaves a trace. This is the next theory. This doctor found that GLP-1s activate hindbrain neurons linked to nausea. Even after the nausea fades, the brain may still hold on to those early scent associations, rewiring how we respond to certain smells long term. Oh, that sounds fun. Long term, even if you stop taking it, you're still put off by food. Many users say their own scent has changed, possibly due to changes in the gut microbiome, metabolism, and sweat composition. The research is early, but the patterns are emerging. GLP-1s alter brain chemistry, metabolism, and scent perceptions. Interesting. And then we've got 4 papers linked from 2024 and 2025. Interesting. So let's see how that develops. That's pretty horrifying, isn't it? My mum someone opened their car door. My mum 20 years ago when she was riding her bike, and she got brain damage, and one of the parts of the brain damage is her smell and taste is rewired, and so she can't taste her favorite foods. She will eat foods that she knew that she liked in the past because of the texture feel in her mouth. She can't smell rotten milk, so sometimes she'll be like, smell this. And you'll be like, geez, you can't smell that? It's gone. Losing taste and smell is devastating. Many people have experienced that because of COVID. Yeah, so that's not something to take lightly of, it's not that bad. All right, so finally, lawsuits. Things were kind of kicking off with lawsuits. As of July 2025, we have 1,997 lawsuits have been consolidated into a federal multi-district litigation in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. Apparently, Pennsylvania is where a lot of the large pharma cases go. These cases brought about GLP-1s focus on serious gastrointestinal injuries such as gastroparesis, intestinal blockages, and gastroenteritis. That seems to be, they're saying about 95% of the lawsuits are under those things. So, and they're saying that this could evolve into tens of thousands of individual cases. So, all that to say, GLP-1s sound great. They sound really effective. Just a reminder that it was the best results for Wegovy was a 10.2% reduction in weight over 4 years and 2 months. So someone who is 200 pounds would be losing 0.4 pounds a month or 5 pounds a year. And that's for the people who stayed in the study. 89.5% of people left the study, which is big. So the 10.5%, that's what was left. These numbers are not even accurately reflecting the real experience because we don't have data from the people that left. We have data from 10% of people who stayed. And even that data from the 10% of people who stayed is, I think this is a scientific term, a dog shit. Absolute a dog shit. So, but the hope of thinness is very intoxicating. And so even if you listen to this episode, you still could be thinking, I'm going to give it a go, or I'm going to create some safety in my life by potentially trying to lose weight, or whatever reason. I'm being forced to reduce my BMI, to get surgery, whatever it is. I want to let you know about a resource, which is the from Nalgona Positivity Pride, who has created a weight loss medications safety planning guide on the Patreon account there. You can go and I think you can just go and do like a $5 thing and go grab it. But a couple of things from that, absolutely go and grab it. But a couple of things from that, if you're taking GLP-1s, is to try and reduce the harm that you could be experiencing. First thing is to look for signs of malnourishment. Look for signs that you are slipping into an eating disorder, disordered eating. Remember in that last episode, I kind of met that list of the symptoms that you could be experiencing. They mention other harm reduction strategies like regular follow-ups with your healthcare provider, informing yourself on the drugs, and if you've listened to these episodes, then you have. Screening for pancreatic issues, because if you listen to previous episodes, you'll know that Wegovy has what used to be called a black box warning, which is the highest level of warning for pancreatitis, which can lead to pancreatic cancer. And so if you're going to take Wegovy or even semaglutides, or even if you're taking any GLP-1 agonist, checking for potential pancreatic issues that you may have. Be mindful of that increased depression, suicide ideation, and if there's ways that you can reduce the side effects depending on the time of day that you do your injection. It's a once weekly injection, then, that guide will give you lots of different ideas on harm reduction. Because these drugs can cause a lot of harm, but people will definitely still take them. And that's life. That's life. That's what all the people say. All right, so what's next? What's happening next in the world of GLP-1s? Well, we've got retatrutide, or retatrutide. Retatrutide is an experimental drug developed by Eli Lilly. Oh, Eli Lilly does have 2 L's. Anyway, it is a triple glucagon hormone receptor agonist, GLP-1, GIP, GCGR receptors. It's in phase 3 of clinical trials. So that means that it's been going on longer, right? They have shared phase 2 results. Drum roll, please. I went to look at their results. Link to the study if you want to go and have a gander yourself. What they say, we enrolled 338 adults. A huge amount. 338. The Wegovy study was like 8,000 or something. So if they did 338, all right, they did 338. How many do you think are going to be left by the end of the year? So Wegovy lost 89%, right? My phone's recording. I was going to do the calculator. There's going to be like 10 people that they're going to have left if they've got similar things going on. LOL. Okay, so we enrolled 338 adults. 51% of them were men. Any non-binary transgender people? Of course not. Of course not. At 48 weeks, a weight reduction, okay, get this, 48 weeks, a weight reduction of 5% had occurred in 92% of people. 5%. 10%. Okay, they're 5% or more. 10% or more. 75%. 15 had occurred in 60% of people. Weight reduction at 48 weeks. Now, how many people have lasted to 48 weeks? We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait for the phase 3 for the big data. What happens at 48 weeks? What happens at a year? So 48 years is just shy of a year. What happens at a year? And even if every single of those 338 people had, let's say 100% of all of those people, we know it's not that, lost 15%. Let's be generous. 15%. That's still not a significant amount of weight. But is that what they say in the paper? No. They're like their byline of statistically significant amount of weight loss in a large amount of people. Are they reading the same results that they're sharing? That's not... What are you talking about? They say substantial reductions in body weight. My eyes are rolling. They just go out and lie, don't they? Don't they? They must be the the authors of these studies and people who are writing it. They must be like tongue in cheek. We all know that we're bullshitting. Or do they think, or maybe they think because nothing reduces weight, sustainable long-term impressive results. Nothing has showed any success. That a small amount of success is substantial. Is that where what their brains are thinking? Is that what it is? Because they can't all be like laughing and being and saying, yeah, we know that we're literally bullshitting when we write this line, significant results. What do you think? I'm so fascinated by the way that people think when they do things that I think are against ethics or not in the best interest of people. And what are they thinking? Like these are not, well, some of them maybe, but a lot of them are not bad people, right? Maybe they're thinking fatness is such a bad thing that it doesn't matter that we're stretching the truth or breaking the truth, because there's a little bit of hope that fatness will be eradicated. So what's that phrase? The ends, something the means. The ends negate the means. Let me Google it. What the fuck is it? The ends justify the means. Is that what they're thinking? Oh no, we can speculate all day long. Don't know. Maybe it's for money. Maybe it's because, their boss is paying for the study, so they don't want to be like, hey boss, so pretty dog shit. They've paid our salaries, they paid, everyone in the study and blah, blah, blah. We can't just be like, yeah, the results are pretty blah. Yeah, there's probably that pressure there too. That's why a study that's funded and created by the drug manufacturer is like red flag central, because you can't, people doing the work, even though they might be great people, they could struggle really with objectivity because they could lose their job. There's something to lose, right? But still, that's not an excuse. So that's all of the things that I've got to say that's everything I've got to say about GLP-1s. I just want to end with big compassion, no matter where you are, fatty hugs for you. I don't hate you if you're taking a GLP-1. And I get it if you are, about all of this bullshit and you're really frustrated and you're like, fuck those people who are taking the medication and ruining it for everyone else or whatever. I totally get that anger too. I get it. And I think you're right to feel like that. And everyone else in between who was just, I don't know, hanging out, listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here for 200 episodes. Remember, you're worthy. You always were. You always will be. Tatty bye. See you on the next episode. Goodbye.